Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. There's been a lot of... Claressa Shields has been talking a lot lately just about her concerns at Savannah Marshall not showing up to schedule press conferences and potentially not showing up to the fight. That's supposed to be, working the dates they're currently working it out for June or July. But she feels, for some reason, that Savannah Marshall is going to pull out the fight. I don't see that happening. So anyway, word circulating that Shields is obviously kind of putting it out there to the world, that she feels Savannah Marshall is terrified of her. Now the thing is this, Savannah Marshall, she came out swinging. And she's saying that she vows to severely hurt Claressa Shields in the upcoming undisputed bout. She went on to say that she expects to provide an extremely painful night when they meet in the highly anticipated bout. And this is the thing. Savannah Marshall is not a talker, but obviously she's getting tired of Claressa Shields getting tired of Claressa Shields' comments. And Claressa Shields has every right to talk. She has a voice, and I think she needs to use it, and I think that's good. It spices up the fight, and with that kind of back and forth between the two, you're not going to get much out of Savannah, but she's coming out swinging now. That could potentially lead into, the match with Shields making it even bigger than Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. So we're talking about records being broken. And again, this is like the number one, number two here in their weight class. And it just doesn't get any better than having a similar situation. And what we just recently saw with two fantastic boxers from a lower weight class, where you have the puncher, then you have the boxer. Well, according to Claressa Shields right now, she's a boxer puncher, but she's always claimed to be this hard hitter. But if you look at her knockouts, it's dwarfed when you start really taking Savannah Marshall into consideration. But, recently Savannah Marshall defended her WBO belt in Newcastle. We know that. And she said that was probably the most important thing to her, was to finish Femke in that round the way she did by knockout, because now she knows that what that's paving the way for is for her to go ahead and get the fight against Shields, what Shields keeps claiming that Savannah's afraid of her. So for those of you who don't know, Claressa Shields holds the WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBF, and the ring titles. And Claressa Shields was there ringside. She was making a whole lot of noise. And she hasn't stopped making noise, but that's her personality. That's her personality. So I expect, and also the promoter, Ben Shalom, he's even stating that it's just a matter of days before they announce the date for the fight and all the particulars. And, I can't wait to see that fight. This is what, not just female boxing, but this is what boxing needs. And the timing couldn't be better. Because you look at what we're going to have is Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. Then middle of the year, you have Shields and Marshall. Then you have Katie Taylor, Serrano rematch, probably maybe a month or so after that. They haven't come out with a date yet, but it's going to be fairly close. And then maybe the rematch with Marshall and Shields. And this grudge match, like I've covered in other videos and a lot of you are already aware, it stemmed from the damn amateur ranks back in 2012. But Savannah Marshall, like a lot of people, are expecting a similar outcome. And it is what it is. So Savannah's saying she expects it this summer. And she doesn't know what all the talk's about. But she said you can't rush things. And it's all up to the promoters now that it's in their hands and for them to go out there and to announce to the world the inevitable. So looks like the deal's if it's going to be announced in a couple of days, maybe like, 90, 95% done. But Savannah Marshall letting everybody know she just doesn't think Claressa Shields can handle her power. And she says at some point during that fight, she's going to land. And when she does, it's going to be good night. And she really feels that it's not just a matter of her knocking Claressa Shields out, she says, I'm going to severely hurt her. And this is what I like to see. I don't like to see it just being so one-sided from an opponent. It's really entertaining. You enjoy to see them going back and forth. As long as they can remain professional when they're in front of each other and not put their hands on each other, that's when things go left. And it's just a black eye, one, on the sport of boxing, but two, it can affect their fight from happening and they both lose out. But that's entertaining too, to seeing people get on stage and assault each other, So I don't think that's going to happen with them because they're both professionals. But talk about Marshall clipping Femke Hermans. Claressa Shields comes out and she says she's not any of those girls that Marshall's fought against. And no matter what the kind of power she has, she says she's going to wipe her out on the scorecards if she doesn't finish her by the middle rounds. And she's talking about who's going to have trouble. It's not going to be her. It's going to be Marshall. And Marshall is just laughing at that. So Marshall is extremely confident. And, of course, she's training with Tyson Fury's uncle. And he believes this is going to be the biggest bout ever in women's boxing. He thinks this is going to eclipse what Serrano and Katie Taylor recently did. And you know what? He may be right. And it's not because Taylor and Serrano wasn't, the magnitude of that fight wasn't beyond comprehension. It's because that fight happened. That fight stirred the pot, generated huge buzz on an international scale. And now you have another, almost like a number 1 and 2 in women's boxing at the super middleweight, I believe. And they're getting ready to bang. So all the attention's there. People looking to see what's going on in women's boxing now. And now Shields is well known. You got to give her credit. She's well known. But now you got even more of a different type of audience, or a more expanded audience, watching female boxing. So I think as far as the viewership for Shields and Marshall, don't be surprised if it doubles. It's gonna exceed Serrano and Taylor's, but don't be surprised if it doubles, man, because it's just amazing. So, and it's the middleweight division, and I just think it's gonna be amazing for them, man. I really think this could be the biggest fight in women's boxing. We just had it, but this could be something here. Comes out, a few months after, and then this fight eclipses what happened with Taylor and Serrano. And the funny thing about it, then you go into the rematch with Taylor and Serrano, and that could possibly eclipse Shields and Marshall. So the division's red hot, power puncher against the boxer, and it's just a huge fight, man, between America and the UK. But on an international scale, it's just going to be huge. And it looks like it's going to happen next. So there really is no one else for these two to fight. They just need to get it on. And I guess the best woman will win. I think, man, when I think about just boxing in general, that quiet person is the one you don't want to mess with. And I'm so glad Savannah Marshall is now speaking up. When I post these videos, these Savannah Marshall, Claressa Shields videos, man, they just take off. So, I'm glad I actually talk about it because I noticed that. There are a lot of people, the Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano too, man, there are a lot of people that are paying attention to Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, Savannah Marshall, and Claressa Shields. More so than they're paying attention to these male fighters. Those are just facts. I'm letting you know. So Savannah Marshall is letting the world know she's going to severely hurt Claressa Shields. And the question is, if Savannah Marshall has clipped so many of her opponents, right, why can't she do it to Shields? Conversely, if Shields has just totally outboxed and outclassed all of her opponents, why can't she do it to Marshall? Now, it doesn't matter what I think, doesn't matter what you think. What matters is the strategy those two women are working on in their camps and their ability to implement it on fight night. And when you have a person who's almost like disappeared from the scene, but they reemerge, like Savannah Marshall did, to say, I'm going to severely damage this lady. And those are her words. Severely hurting Claressa Shields, going to damage her. And then they disappear again. That's like being out on a river fishing in a little canoe. And this crocodile, he surfaces. Y'all make eye contact. That's him letting you know about to damage you. Then he goes back under the water. You better get out that damn river. You know what I'm saying? But in this case, Shields is that fisherman on the canoe who's looking to confront the crocodile. And she expects to get out there in the river with this vicious crocodile and somehow use that paddle or oar in her hand and I guess beat the crocodile to death. But that crocodile might take a bite out of her butt, man, so it's going to be crazy. But that being said, that's the latest and greatest, man. Savannah Marshall is talking. She's not going to be bullied. And she's saying, harsh words, man. I'm going to severely damage Claressa Shields. So I can't wait to see that fight, man. I think this fight really is going to eclipse Serrano and Katie Taylor. And what Serrano and Taylor did, numbers-wise, entertainment-wise, is just amazing. And now we have another huge fight. So just can't wait to hear more from the two camps. And they need to make an announcement, though. They really do need to make an announcement. I mean, I don't know what the holdup is. When you got these boxers out here, these unification bouts, men and women, and you get the athletes talking about it, but the promoters, it's like they should be, knee deep in the negotiation process like that. That should have been announced already. That's where you like to see in boxing matches where they've already had a discussion before they have a discussion before someone's scheduled to fight. And they say, if you win the fight, then we'll come in the ring and we'll announce our forthcoming fight. And the person wins, they get in the ring, talk a little trash, announce the fight. Next 2 days, they already had a date pushed out to the masses, the venue, purse split, like everything's already been decided, and they push it out there to the world. But when you see it not happening with like Marshall and Shields, and on the men's side too, not gonna get into that. It's just frustrating because it's what we want to see. You're getting us all excited, and then it's just like silence. And to me, that's frustrating. So good to hear from Marshall. She's talking. She's speaking up for herself. She's saying what she needs to say. Good to hear from Shields. But we need to get an announcement. So hopefully that comes out next week sometime, and then get the ball rolling. Because they're already talking about Taylor and Serrano. We know that rematch is happening. So we'll see what's going on with Shields and Marshall. But that being said, thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Shout out to all the veterans. You guys keep safe. And as always, I'm in the breeze.